This video is an in-depth look at issue identification and analysis, the first step in running an effective campaign. To help you fully understand issue identification, I'm going to explain two important concepts: symptoms and root cause. After I explain those concepts, we're going to do some exercises to help you understand how to identify the difference between a symptom and a root cause. Then we're going to go through some really creative tools that I've used to hone in on issue identification. But before we get started, let me explain to you how I learned the importance of issue identification. 2027 will mark 20 years from the time I graduated from law school. My torts professor was great because he was a master at issue identification. In hindsight, I only remember him saying 4 words: every day, every class, in every case in the casebook, all semester. And those words were, "What is the issue?" He would say, "What's the issue? What's the issue? What's the issue?" In law school class, I dreaded being called on because I knew he was going to say, "What's the issue? What's the issue? What's the issue? What's the issue?" Now, I understand not understanding the issue will leave your entire analysis flawed. Likewise, if you do not understand the threshold issue, your campaign will be flawed. And lucky for you, you do not need to be a legal scholar to master issue ID. All you need to do is learn to distinguish between the root cause and the symptoms. And in this video, I'm going to give you the tools to do so. If you need a reminder of the 7 steps to running an effective campaign, click on the videos below for a refresher. If you fully grasped issue identification and analysis, click on the videos below and move on to the next steps. But if you feel you need a little bit more help honing in on issue identification and analysis, finish the video, work with us on some of the exercises that I'll present to you, and hopefully by that time, you'll have all the tools you'll need to be an effective issue identifier. After completing those exercises and you feel you need additional help, then click on the video below for a case analysis on issue identification. Spoiler alert, in the issue identification case study, what we thought were symptoms of a typical excessive force case became a root cause human rights abuse matter. Now, let's get back to the video. Thanks for sticking around. I'm going to repeat this one more time. You don't have to be a legal scholar to master issue identification. All you need to do is learn to distinguish between the root cause and the symptoms. And in this video, I'm going to give you the tools to do so. Now, let me take a few moments to explain the concepts of symptoms and root cause. I'll give a definition, and then we'll do some exercises. First, I'm going to provide the definitions, then we're going to do an exercise. A symptom is a surface level indicator of a problem. Let me repeat it. A symptom is a surface level indicator or indication of a problem, while root cause is the underlying fatal flaw or systemic breakdown. Let me repeat that again. Root cause is the underlying fatal flaw or systemic breakdown. Now let's do a short exercise. First, I'll provide an incident or scenario, and then we'll work together to identify the symptoms and the underlying root cause. Example number 1. You're driving down the street. Your car breaks down. You pull to the side of the road, open the hood, and you find that the car won't start. You call your mechanic, and the mechanic says, "What's the issue?" You say, I check the temperature gauge and my car is overheating. Now, let's discuss the symptoms to see if we can find the root cause. Your car broken down on the side of the road, not restarting, and overheating are the symptoms. A more careful examination will be needed to figure out the root cause, or what's the underlying issue, or as my torch professor would say, what's the issue? The mechanic comes in, analyzes the situation, allows the car to cool off, but once the car restarts, it overheats again and breaks down. We still haven't identified the root cause, just the symptoms. As you can see in this example, without conducting a more thorough issue examination and analysis, your campaign will be flawed. Fortunately for us, the mechanic is really good at issue identification, figured out the issue was a broken water pump. So as you can see, the car breaking down on the road, constantly overheating are the symptoms, and the root cause is a broken water pump. Let's try another example. A patient goes to the doctor and complains of persistent migraines. They say, every time I go outside, I get a migraine. I take an aspirin and they go away. But a few hours later, they come back. Tell me, what are the symptoms? We'll take a few moments to allow you some time to think about it. You're right, that was easy. The symptoms are persistent migraines. Now, what's the root cause? Take a few moments to think about it. If you said it will require more information and we need to do a deeper analysis, you're right. The doctor conducts a more deep analysis and realizes that the patient is spending a lot of time outdoors in the sun, is not drinking enough water, and realizes the root cause is dehydration. Let's try one more. A parent takes a baby to the doctor and complains that the baby is very irritable after feeding. The caregiver explains that after feedings, the baby doesn't want their pacifier, does not want to go to sleep, and does not want to play with toys. What are the symptoms? We'll take a few moments to allow you some time to think about it. You would be correct if you said the baby is irritable, not responding to stimuli, and not getting proper rest. But none of those are the root cause. There must be a deeper analysis. In this example, someone could conclude that the child is eating too fast, but the more complete answer would be the child has indigestion. In each of the three previous examples, not doing a full analysis could lead to inconclusive findings. And as we stated before, failure to effectively identify the issue will undermine your campaign. If you feel that you fully grasped the concept of symptoms and root cause, comment below with a scenario and provide details of the symptoms and root cause. Now, let's get back to the video. So now that you understand the basic concepts, let's talk about some tools that I use to hone in the threshold issue. Now, listen carefully as I list 2 tools that I use to hone in on issue identification. Then we'll go into some exercises. The first tool is research, research, research. And the second tool is called the 5 whys, which is an in-depth analysis into the symptoms in order to get to the root cause. During the research phase, I dig deep into the issue. The research phase is critical to the overall campaign. This is when you identify your stakeholders and review all the data and information related to the problem. I'm talking about brainstorming sessions where I identify the different proponents, those who are for it, the opponents, those that are against. I talk to advocacy groups, researchers, people that have studied the issue, scientists, newspaper articles, and anything relevant to the issue. During the research phase, that's when I get the most insight about the problem. And when I'm analyzing data, I look at every symptom or problem that's causing the overall issue and see which one is most impactful, and I can start adjusting my campaign strategy. If you don't fully grasp all of the concepts I'm using, click on the video below for a case analysis on issue identification. Before you go to that video, let's go to another tool I use in issue identification. The next tool I use in issue identification are the 5 whys. Always ask, but why? At every incident or occurrence in the process, if you're unclear to the root cause, always ask why. Let me give you an example so you can see how this works. While working on your campaign plan at the office, you hear commotion in the kitchen. There's smoke coming out of the room, and you walk in and you see your campaign manager standing over the stove with smoke billowing out of the pot. You ask the campaign manager, "What's the problem?" "What's the issue? What's the issue? What's the issue?" The campaign manager says, "My lunch burned." What are the symptoms? Take a few moments to think about it. Sounds simple enough. Commotion in the kitchen, smoke detector going off, burned food in a pot, smoke coming from a pot. What's the root cause? We'll take a few moments to allow you some time to think about it. An inconclusive analysis would be the campaign manager burned his or her lunch. But a more detailed analysis would ask at least 5 whys. Call me the wise guy. Let's try it. Campaign manager, you say you burned your lunch. Why? Campaign manager response is, the oven was too hot. The wise guy says, but why? The campaign manager says, I cooked the food on high and didn't watch my food. The wise guy responds, but why? The campaign manager responds, I'm stressed about a deadline and couldn't focus on my food. The wise guy responds, number 4, but why? The campaign manager's response, that there are stressors and an inability to focus, but you can't be afraid to dig deeper. The wise guy responds, but why? The campaign manager's response, I'm behind on schedule. We're almost getting there, but one more why for good measure. But why? The campaign manager's response, there was a communication gap because there were not well-defined scope of services in early stages of the project's life cycle. Aha. 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 You heard all the symptoms and would have mistaken many of the symptoms for root cause. But a more careful analysis, not being afraid to ask the why, got to the root cause, a lack of communication. After you understand the concepts of root cause and symptoms, and then you apply the tools of research, and the 5 whys, you will find the underlying issue. And then that issue can be used to develop an effective campaign plan. I hope this video was helpful in explaining issue identification and analysis. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Be sure to comment, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up to let me know that you're watching. See you in the next video.